Hello, welcome to this week's Weekly Outlook. Going to kick off with Forex. We'll do crypto and then look at some commodities at the end. We'll have a trade of the week as well. Looking at the dollar, I am still bullish on this instrument, just monitoring this pullback as we come back. So you can see every time we've had a push, this pullback leads to another push, pullback, push, pullback, push, and this seems to be a little bit overextended in the pullback phase. But we are coming into an area of resistance here and support, just waiting for this market to turn around so I can get involved with some dollar pairs. Maybe one more sweep back inside, use that as a platform to go higher, or if we pull back, that is how I'm looking to get back involved with higher time frame trades in the dollar. At the moment, price is just chopping around. You can see these last 2 weeks, one up, one down. So we're probably in a consolidation phase as we're stuck between two levels. We have resistance here and we have support here. If I'm looking to buy dollars, one more sweep, take out this weekly low. So one thing that I always look for in my trading is weekly highs and lows for catching nice trades in the direction that we want. So you can see in this pullback phase, we'll monitor this pullback phase, and this pullback phase. And if we mark out just the weekly lows, so if I'm bullish on this, I'm looking at weekly lows to try and get a entry to the upside. There was no entry and we closed lower on the week, but if you see here, this weekly low rated and there doesn't go much below it, we read it and then we catch an explosive move to the upside. You can see here, once we get a pullback, this weekly low, if you're looking, once weekly lows are taken, if you're looking in this area, you're about to get nice risk to reward trades. It may take a few attempts, but once you get it, the reward is worth it. So we have a weekly low, get a push to the upside, maybe when trade we come back down, raid one more time. If you're hunting in this area, your reward is great. Here's one here, sweep, and it's just in line with the overall trend. So what I would do now is mark out this weekly low or this weekly low, one more raid down, and then monitor price action here. See what price is doing and if it gives me any entry on other instruments. We'll look at Aussie dollar first, as that'll be an instrument I'll be looking to trade. We are coming into some higher time frame resistance on the weekly time frame. So support here, support here, support here, and a little bit of resistance. What I want to do then is mark out just previous weekly highs and see how price reacts. If we come up, nab stops, get back below, then we could be in line for a bigger move to the downside. You can see on the lower time frames this counter trend. We have this trend here still intact, so the overall trend is to the downside, and that's why I'm looking to get involved with the bigger moves if they happen to the downside. But we do have, counter trend moves on the lower time frames. So if you're looking for a little bit of dollar weakness, then you can look at the weekly lows to try and get involved. But as I say, I'm just staying on the sidelines until everything lines up. At the moment we have that higher time frame resistance, and now I'll just mark out the weekly highs and lows to see if we can get involved with an Aussie dollar sell. It's all about being patient really and letting the trade come to you. Let's take a look at Euro USD. If we go out to the monthly just for a second, you can see the bigger picture. Support here, support here, support here, a little bit of support here, and this is where we're at. We're in an area where we're looking for selling opportunities. If we break and retest, then that would change my bias on this instrument. But look how many months we've had to the downside. 2 pullback months, and we could see a continuation here in the near future. So with that in mind, let's go down into the weekly. I've marked out this previous weekly high. I'll mark out this weekly high once we get going for the week ahead. I'll monitor price here. If we break down, then this is where I'll look to build positions to the downside for higher time frame trades. So at the moment, still on the sidelines, but just be wary of where we are if you're bullish in this instrument, because it does look very bullish when you go down into the lower time frames. H4, you can see this structure is still intact. Take out a high, pullback, push. We've got a pullback, and now we're getting a push. I'm just waiting for these levels to try and get involved. It may take me a couple of attempts, but overall bias in my eyes is still to the downside. They could add a little bit of confluence in structure, resistance, resistance, support. If we can break down below, then that could be another opportunity to get involved if we miss our initial entry on Euro USD. But bias is bearish on this, and I'll be looking for selling opportunities. Doesn't mean we don't go higher. It's just that if we do go higher, I'm got my levels marked out, and for now it's just previous weekly highs because we're coming into an area of resistance. So if you take a look at every time we got a pullback on this leg down, blue candle pullback, that weekly high, if you're hunting in this area, you're getting nice risk to reward for a potential move to the downside. We get a pullback, that weekly high, we do get a move to the downside, one more raid, and then that's the catalyst for pushing price lower. Let's take a look at this pullback candle, blue candle pullback on the downtrend, and here's where you're looking for your selling opportunities. Pullback candle, and here is where you're looking for your selling opportunities. And even though this didn't continue the trend, you still get a nice move to the downside. So that's why I'm looking at these previous weekly highs and lows. So let's not waste any more time on that, and let's just take a look at a few other dollar pairs before we go on to trades that I'll be looking to take this week. So Euro USD, Pound USD, weekly time frame, you can see that we're coming into an area of resistance, and I'll just be monitoring price up in here, see if we are going to roll over. It's going to maybe take a few days for that structure to shift, as we're still bullish and need to be careful, but we are in a higher time frame level of resistance that I'd be keen to trade. Quickly moving on, Kiwi obviously still bearish. Let's just go out to the monthly so you can see where I'm getting this support, 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 possible resistance for another move to the downside, something that I'm keen to keep an eye on. Let's move on to dollar CAD, coming into some support. So waiting for the dollar to come and gain some strength again. We've got resistance here, and support. I've already marked out where I'm looking to trade. We have this weekly low, this weekly low. If we come down, deviate that weekly low, reclaim it, then that's where I'll be looking to get involved. Same with down here, reclaim it, that's where I'm looking to get involved with moves to the upside. So just really sharing my bias on this. Dollar Swiss looks good. From a technical standpoint, we are coming into an area of support here. You see resistance, resistance, resistance. This support, we've also swept these lows and had a reaction, and now we're pulling back. So that's probably one of my favorite instruments going forward for the next few weeks, if we can get that momentum to the upside. And just mark out your weekly lows just in case we come any lower. Something like that. Sweep, reclaim, looking for this candle to be filled in. We'll finish on dollar yen. You can see how this uptrend has just been on a mad tear. Little pullback here, and now we're in a pullback phase. I feel for another move higher. Wouldn't be my favorite pair, as I see some yen strength coming in over the next few weeks, but something to keep an eye on with the other dollar pairs. Obviously, I'm not going to be taking all these trades against the dollar. It's just marking out my higher time frame levels and then seeing which ones set up the best. But we are sitting on resistance here, as you can see from this pullback, and now this is support. So in and around here, if I'm looking to buy this instrument, it would be a good area to look at. Let's take a look at some trades for this week. CAD yen is something that I'm interested in selling. Let's go down into the daily time frame. We sold it last week in the group, and we still have a little bit of that position running that I'll show you. But overall, on the daily time frame, you can see that we broke out of this structure. Support, support, support. Also broke this structure of support, support. Broke below, retest it, and it looks like it could be going lower. So I'll be looking to add to that position on the lower time frames. If we just go down into the 2 hour, I'll show you that position. We were bearish on this, and at the start of the week we were looking at possible areas of support and resistance. You see here resistance, resistance and support. We're looking for a candle close below there, and then that's where we pull the trigger. Stop just above these highs, and yeah, these clean lows is where we targeted, took some off, and now letting the rest run. So price did come back into an area of resistance last week, but just it broke too late for me to get involved. So we'll let Monday unfold and try and get involved with CAD yen again, but that is one of the trades that I'm looking to trade this week. Let's take a look at Aussie yen as well. That's got my attention for the week ahead. It's in this range bound environment. I'm looking for some yen strength. So at the top of the range we have resistance, 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 and this is where we are. We're at a nice key level. I am looking for this to sort of come back to the bottom of the range, and not saying that, you know, that's a certainty to happen, but I'll be looking for some lower time frame patterns in here to give me clues that this is going to roll over. I'm not just going to sell straight away in case, you know, we just break with momentum to the upside. But we are at an area of resistance where we sold off before. Resistance, 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 and that is where I'll be looking to sell on the lower time frames. We could also mark out possible weekly high. So we'll have this weekly high. If we can get that rated, that would be nice. You can see we had a huge move to the downside inside week and another inside week. So we are in a range bound environment. We are at the top of the range, and yeah, there's nothing really stopping it from going and retesting these lows once again. Let's go back out to the H4. What else is on the card? New Zealand yen we'll take a quick look at, but if I was given the choice, obviously CAD yen is up there, something I'm looking at from the start of the week. Aussie yen if it starts to turn. New Zealand yen we can take a look at on the H4. Clear resistance here, sold off, and it looks like we sold off again. This support structure, support, 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 did break, but we're just sort of grinding below it and getting no momentum to the downside. So on the lower time frames, let's just say 2 hour. Really just going to zoom in and follow this substructure and see if we get any breaks below there. This is what's holding up the market at the minute. Support, support, support. So if we can break below, retest, then that's where I'll be looking to sell. Or if we look at the weekly candles, one more rate up, get back below, that's where I'll be looking to sell. You can see that we're at a real key area of resistance on the higher time frames. Sold off from here before, sold off from here before, sold off from here before. So I wouldn't really be buying into such a higher time frame level, and that's why I would prefer another move to the downside. No matter how small it is, that's what I'm looking for on the yen pair. So let's move on to some crypto. Let's look at Bitcoin. And let's look at the H4. We can see price at the moment after that huge move to the downside is sort of consolidating. If I can just zoom in. So price is being capped. I shared with the group these highs. Resistance, 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 resistance. If we're looking for any upside, that would need to break for me and retest, and then this is where I look for a move to the upside. We have this previous weekly high that could potentially be a target, but if we start breaking down, my bias is still bearish on this instrument, and there's nothing that I can see bullish at the moment. Technically and fundamentally pretty bearish as we speak. So if I'm looking to sell, this is quite a nice little shelf of support. Support here, support here, support here, support here. If we break retest, then that's where I'm going to start loading up on shorts, either there, or if we break, come up, take out this sort of shelf of highs, and break down, then that's where I'll be looking to sell. So yeah, just being patient on Bitcoin, letting the trade come to me. As you can see at the moment, it's just choppy price action, and when it's like that, I'm not really too bothered at even looking at it. But yeah, next week if we get a breakout either way, counter trend trade to the upside is a possibility, and I will not be ruling it out. If we look at Ethereum, let's just go out to the daily for a second. I just want to draw your attention to where we are in terms of structure. Resistance, 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 support, support, and we are under that resistance. So if we pop up, we could come down, create a range for quite some time here. So if I was looking to sell one or the other, I'd probably sell Ethereum, just because we are at a higher time frame level. It's cleaner technically for me at the moment to be trading it, but that's something to keep an eye on. Let's just take a look at the previous weekly highs. This is obviously yet to close, but once it does, get those levels on. If we can get a break back below, and then look to sell. You can see even here, once we get that pullback, these are the candles. In here is where you want to be looking to trade to catch those bigger moves. We came down, took out this weekly low, and that's moved to the upside. So it doesn't matter which way you're trading, looking at weekly highs and weekly lows will really sort of help you navigate the markets and clear out a lot of nonsense, or it'll set foundations for your trading. So once you see a weekly high or low taken, then that sets the ball in motion. You can look at other structures, other areas of confluence as well. We'll take a look at XRP. Stuck in this range for me. Let's just go down into the daily. Resistance over here, support, support. Up into this area, I'll be looking for sales. If we break retest, break this pullback structure, then that will mean more longs in the cards for me. So let me just clean that up for you so you understand what I'm saying. If we break that structure and retest it from the underside, this is clear resistance here, clear support, support, support. If we break that and retest it, then I'd look for longs. At the moment, I'm only looking for sales, and we're coming up into an area where we sold off before, resistance. This could be a little bit of a deviation just to keep us inside this trending environment. So up in here, I'll be looking for selling opportunities. If you go out to the weekly time frame, wait for this weekly candle to close, you may get a nice entry. Come up, take out that weekly high, break back below, and then look to sell. Yeah, we'll take a look at BNB. Another interesting instrument as we are coming up into. Let me just sort of fix that. Key resistance here, sold off. Resistance, sold off. Resistance, sold off. Now we're coming back up into that area. It's a key level where we sold off before. And if we see what we like to see, we'll have this weekly high, break above, back below, then we could be looking to sell. You can see the same pattern. We have a weekly high here. This is where you're looking for your entry. We have a weekly high here. This is where you're looking for your entry. Coming up here, weekly high, may not have got the entry, get another opportunity up here. So all you have to do is mark out this weekly high, comes up. We have the confluence of resistance, and then look for that trade to the downside. Now, I'm not saying that's a cert, but that's what I'd be looking for. So yeah, I don't really want to keep this too long. We'll take a look at gold and silver. Gold weekly time frame. So if I am bullish on the dollar, but if I'm sort of going to counter trend trade that, I'll possibly be looking at gold and silver to the upside. We can look at the structure here. This is a weekly time frame. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We've got that push, and now if we get that pullback into, we have support here, resistance. That is a nice key level. If we can follow structure, wait for a structure breakout, and then look for higher prices on gold. I would, if we start breaking back below here, then I'll not be looking at gold anymore. But you can see clearly that this is a key level of support. Any pullback into there, break the structure, any bullish signs, then I'll be looking to buy gold, which I'll put into the group. Every trade I take, I post into the group anyway. but it's nice to go over the charts and tell you why I'm taking these trades so you're not sort of left out in the dark. Silver, weekly time frame, support, resistance, resistance, and we're just bouncing as support. You can see we've taken out that previous weekly low, so in here would have been a nice area to look for longs. Any pullback start of the week, and we may get another run to the upside. If we start closing below, then I'm not really interested in silver longs anymore, and I'll just turn my attention to different instruments. So I'll not take up too much of your time this evening. That's what I'm looking at this week. Hands off really most of the dollar pairs until I see some strength coming into them. If I want to trade, counter trade, then I'll look at gold and silver. Yen pairs are probably the trades that I'll be taking this week. If I can add to CAD yen, that'll be a bonus. Any trades I take, I'll post into the group, post up morning videos as well, so every morning once I have a look at the markets, anything new or any trade ideas that I see, I'll just keep you updated in there. So wishing you a profitable week ahead, and I'll see you next week.